Welcome to Inside the Film Room. I'm Kristen Ergel. We have a great show ahead. We'll recap the Gov's trip to Athens and go goal line to goal line with the Gov. Now, a little later on, we'll go one-on-one with a Gov student athlete and, of course, hear from head football coach Will Healy as he talks about what they took from the Georgia game and prepares for Presbyterian on Saturday. Now, more than 93,000 on hand Saturday in Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia. The Govs take on the most difficult opponent in the program's history. Georgia came in as the number 3 ranked team in all of FBS football. The Dogs start on offense first. Gov defense showed they were ready for the challenge, holding the Dogs out of the end zone, giving up just a field goal. The Governors had a challenge getting a tempo going on offense. The Dogs took advantage of mistakes and tacked on several scores before half. Offensively, the Govs were held to just under 100 yards rushing. Last season, the SEC champions held their opponents to an average of 124 yards on the ground. In the third quarter, Sean Weddinghill recovered a fumble and provided a spark defensively. Malik Davis and Gunnar Schlotto finished as the leading tacklers for the Govs, and the defense held Georgia to 7 points in the second half. Coming up, we go goal line to goal line with a Gov. You'll meet defensive coordinator Brandon Cooper. This is Brandon Cooper, defensive coordinator for the Govs. We're going to go goal line to goal line. You ready?
I am.
Okay, so last year, biggest change, you were a co-coordinator. This year, the sole defensive coordinator, making those play calls. How's that transition been?
It's been fun. A lot of, just added responsibilities, as far as the run game and, learning that type of stuff. I knew a bunch of it last year, but you didn't realize how much of having a co-coordinator, took some of that off of your plate. So for me, man, it's just been fun just being able to study the run game a little bit more and grow as a coach in that aspect.
I mean, it's got to be fun to sit up there and have that whole thing out there and calling plays.
It is. It's awesome.
Talk to me a little bit. Now, we haven't really talked to assistant coaches since the big historic season last year here on this field. How have you changed things from as far as recruiting to offseason and that kind of thing?
For us, it didn't change much. I mean, we started spring practice with some of the old staff, and in the middle of spring brawl, we made the transition. So for me, it put a lot on your plate as far as spring practice, having the first day of spring ball, your first D-line coach's practice, and your linebackers coach's first practice, and then you get the spring break, and then your cornerback coach, he comes in halfway through spring ball. So, it was fun just being able to have to go through that without having coaches in place and transitioning and all that stuff.
Now, this past Saturday, not exactly the outcome we wanted, but you got to be proud of your defense. That second half, forcing a turnover, having a few 3-and-outs. How will you guys build on that this week?
The biggest thing we want to build on is just making sure that we're paying attention to the details, the small things, being accountable in that aspect. Coming out of it, we gained more confidence in our D-line. We know that we can play with guys inside. Our DBs covered pretty well as well on the back end when we played some cover one stuff. So those are positives for us moving forward, that we feel confident with what we can do D-line wise and with our corners.
What do you hope your players who play on this field learn under your leadership?
I hope they learn how to be better men. That's the biggest deal for me, is that they grow as individuals. They take all the lessons that we're teaching on this field and they apply it to their lives.
You keep everyone's spirits up all season long. Who keeps yours up?
I would say my wife. She's my biggest inspiration. She makes sure that I'm staying positive about everything. She's always making sure that I'm looking forward and not being stuck on the situation at hand at that point. And just making sure I'm always in good spirits. And I think Coach Healy does a good job. He's not a negative person. He always wants you to be positive and upbeat and always optimistic about situations. And I think that's helping me grow as a person when things get tough.
Absolutely. Now, any pre-game superstitions you have, something you do every single time?
For me, it's either, depending on who we're playing, I either drink 2 Pepsis or I drink 2 Cokes and I listen to gospel music.
There you go. Hey, it's working for you. All right, that's it. We went goal line to goal line. That was fun.
It was.
All right, coming up, Byron Glass. He's our one-on-one football athlete this week. Welcome back. This is Byron Glass, center for the Govs. Byron, I looked this stat up on Saturday. It just jumped out at me. You're the most experienced football player on this team. You made your 33rd career start in Athens on Saturday. What do you attribute to winning that spot and keeping it?
I think it's just in the off season, mainly is when all that's done, is working hard and really never being satisfied and always focusing on the little stuff, like your first step, which like I never get tired of working on that because I know how important that is. And the second step and bringing the hands. And also a big thing where a lot of people lose focus is when they go home for winter break in summer and stuff, is they'll tend to just take a break. But the key is you have to keep working on your craft and not just weight room, you have to work on like position drills and I have a guy I go see back home and I'll go like 5 days a week where I'll just go work straight position drills. And that's how I think I've been able to keep it.
And it's a personal sacrifice for you, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now you're a senior, a tremendous change from where we were 4 years ago to now. What's it like to be a part of this culture change?
It's been great because I know coming in freshman year, I knew I was coming into a program that was 0-11. And I was like, all right, I come in here, I think I'll be able to change it around. The first year, 0-11. And we got new coaches, brought new life, and we thought it was going to be immediate change. But second year, 0-11. But we never stopped losing faith. Just always keep thinking, it's going to work, just keep grinding, keep pushing. And then last year that was the most rewarding thing, was going 8-4. Although we didn't make the playoffs, that's the goal this year, but it was the most rewarding thing just to win games.
How do you think this experience of you playing football and the lessons that you've learned on and off the field, how do you think that's going to impact you in the future?
Oh, greatly, because there's some things football teaches that you just can't learn anywhere else, like the teamwork especially, like having to work, especially offensive line. You have 5 people and you all have to be moving in the same direction. You have to be able to count on your teammates. You have to be able to lead people. It's just, football teaches so much that someone who doesn't play football, they wouldn't know. And especially like overcoming adversity, like coming into a program that's a losing program and turning it around and just keep pushing. That's something that I think will stick with me for the rest of my life.
You're from Georgia. You played last Saturday in Sanford Stadium. You know, your family was there. That had to be pretty special.
Yeah, it was great because I have a lot of friends that also attend UGA, and I had a lot of family members there, and it was just because it was my first time playing back in my home state since I was in high school, and also having it being at the University of Georgia for 92,000 people was an experience I'll never forget. And I know I had a lot of people watching the game on TV also because it's nationally televised, and having all my friends and family there was great.
Last year, you and your fellow big boys, they just got it done up front, finished 6th in the nation in rushing. You didn't give up, your teammates didn't give up a single sack against the SEC's defending champions. What's it about this offensive line? What's making them so unique?
I think it's our chemistry because we're very good friends off the field. We hang out all the time, always talking. We got to eat together, play Uno together with your daughter Courtney, which we all love doing. And it's just we all love each other and we're brothers. And like, cause we need that, cause when you have to like pass off a twist, and all the D-linemen bullets are flying, D-linemen are going back and forth. You have to be able to count on the other person to pick it up for you. And I think we're very good at that because we trust each other. We're always hanging out with each other.
If you had to describe yourself, you're a center, you're a leader on this football team. What's your leadership style inside that locker room?
I think I'm more of a lead by example. I think that speaks louder than words because when someone sees you always working, because you can have people that lead by just words, but if they don't back it up with the example, then no one's going to credit that. But when you see someone just constantly every day grinding and working and doing what they're supposed to do, then people are going to see that and they're going to be like, all right, I'm going to follow that. And occasionally I'll talk, and I think people understand when I do say something, it means something because I don't talk that much. But when I say something, it's important.
10 more games on this field. If you had to do it all over again, would you choose Austin Peay?
Absolutely, definitely. Because I'll never forget the change we made here and all the friends. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Wow, I love it. All right, coming up, Coach Will Healy. Stay with us. Welcome back, Coach Will Healy joining me now. Now that you've watched the film, processed it a little bit more, what do you take away from this one between the hedges?
Well, I think you try to take away the things that you can fix first. I mean, obviously, we know we played a great football team on Saturday, so we need to make sure it didn't look very crisp and clean. We need to make sure that we're getting lined up more effectively, that we don't have delay of game calls, that we take care of the football, all the things that we feel like we can fix in our building. I didn't think we played with as much energy, passion, and enthusiasm that we usually try to build this program on. Looked a little timid at times, so you try to talk about those things and correct them and figure out why we played the way we did on on Saturday. Obviously, Georgia had a lot to do with it. So we got to make sure to build on the things that can help us and then live up to the standard and the expectation that we have around here.
What things will you key on this week in practice?
Well, we've seen what game speed's supposed to look like now, so you should practice like that. And obviously, the game speed was at the highest level. So we need to make sure that anytime we get a little tired in practice, that anytime we think about taking a rep off, that's what the practice should look like, is how we tried to play on Saturday. So I think the little things became big things. I think the accountability side, being coachable, making sure we practice at a fast pace. I think we got to get in game shape, which the only way you can do that is trying to practice at game speed. So I think there were a lot of things we can take away. We were able to put some reps on film that I thought were really competitive, and some other reps that I didn't think were as competitive. So we got to be more consistent, and we're going to hold them to that standard this week.
You start FCS play on Saturday at home. What do you know about Presbyterian?
Not a ton. They didn't play week one, so you know, obviously they've gone through a lot of transition as a program since their last film. So you try to watch as much as you can from last year. You know, I think that they have really good offensive and defensive schemes. I think they're very well coached. I know they've added a lot of young guys to the roster, so you're not real sure what their too deep looks like, but they'll be talented. They'll be ready to play. And again, I think that the best thing about it for us is we're so much more concerned about what we're doing. We got to fix us after week one. We got to fix how we're playing, how we're practicing, how kids are being held accountable, the things that are happening in our building, and it really shouldn't matter who we play. We need to go out and try to dominate.
Coach, what does your team have to do to win on Saturday?
We got to play a little harder than what we did this past week. We got to make sure that we fine-tune some things, that our kids feel confident in what our game plan is. We got to have a great week of preparation and practice, and make sure that we're practicing at game speed this week, that we're comfortable with what we're doing and how we're doing it, that we're holding them accountable for what our expectations are here. And obviously the things that are important every week for us, winning the turnover battle, making sure we win the special teams battle, all those type things, you know, time of possession, got to be more physical. But I think we learned a lot from last week that can really help us this week.
All right, best of luck, Coach. Kickoff is Saturday at 6 o'clock in Forterra Stadium. Gov fans, get loud and make this a tough environment. Now, if you can't make it to Clarksville, you can watch it online at ESPN+. And after the game, make sure you head over to our social media sites, as we'll have post-game with Coach Healy. Thank you so much for watching Inside the Film Room with Coach Healy. I'm Kristen Ergel. We'll see you next time.